What's up, guys? As you know, for this year, 2025, my trading account's up over 600%. And so I created the Bison Blueprint so that I could share my exact trading strategy with you guys, and you can follow along, do this on your own. And today I want to talk about where do I get most of my leads for investments. One of my favorite places to find leads is legal insider buying. It probably accounts for about 75% of the leads that I find. It's a really powerful tool. And this is just a 5 to 10 minute morning routine that gets me the best entries, the best opportunities, and stocks that are absolutely going to crush it over the next year or so. Um, this isn't for day traders. You can use this, but if you're working a 9 to 5, this is something you can do every couple days. You can do once a week and find really good opportunities for stocks to buy. Um, and at the end of this video, I'm going to give you at least one crazy insider buy that's in a buy zone that you can go out and buy stock in this right now. So stay tuned and we'll get you hooked up with that. So what is an insider buy from a super basic level? So whenever an officer, director, or a 10% owner buys stock in a company that they work at or they already own a significant portion of, the SEC says you have to tell them about that within 2 days, and you do that by filing what's called a Form 4. Now anybody can find these, they're on the SEC website, but there's a couple of websites that aggregate this so it's easier for you to find, easier for you to digest. Now, insider buying is completely legal as long as you are following the rules. They're just buying shares like you or me are, and they're putting in real cash. And we're only interested in what are called open market purchases, where they're putting in their own cash, not getting awarded some as options or as gifts, because the intent is not there when you look at those. So what is a strong insider buy, and what does that actually mean? When these guys are putting personal millions of dollars on the line, it means that they see an opportunity there. They're making an actual bet instead of just going on TV and talking and building up their company for everybody else. They're actually making a bet here, and that's a really good signal. And that's because they know about earnings, they know about deals, they know about buyouts months before us, and they want to profit from that too. So when you see them loading up at a significant buy zone, when you're familiar with the Bison Blueprint and you see that they're buying at multi-year lows, they see opportunity, and you should see that they see opportunity in these stocks. And these are the best early signal of a sector rotation or a stock rotation, because the insiders have advisors, they're working with big banks, and they know about the bottom before retail does. So let's hop into one of my favorite resources, which is finviz.com. So front page here has a ton of resources for investors and traders and calendars and everything you'd want to know. But we're going to hop into the insider tab here. This is all free, by the way. They do have a paid stuff, but everything I'm going to show you today you can get for free. So the latest insider tab, everything's sorted by most recent. The top insider tab, everything's sorted by the biggest moves. And then the 10% owner tab, these are hedge funds and big organizations, big investors that actually own a huge portion of these companies already. And so you're curious, what are these guys doing? Important thing to note, you can filter over here for just buys or just sells. For the purpose of this, we only want to focus on the buying. The reason for that is insider selling is not as useful to us as we're looking for entries and not exits. Now, if you want to use insider selling to get an idea of when to exit, that's a decent plan. But keep in mind that insiders sell for a lot of reasons. It's not necessarily tied to the future stock performance. So they might be selling to buy a yacht. They might be selling because it's a pre-scheduled sale. They might be selling because they just need compensated for the year. Things like that. So selling is not as reliable of a signal, but it is somewhat of a signal at certain times. So what are the buys that get my attention? When I look at this every morning, I'm instantly drawn to these bright green buys. These are ones that are over 100,000. This one here where the guy bought $2,000 worth of stock, I don't really care about that. That's not a big commitment on his part. This guy bought $600 worth of stock. Not a big commitment on their part. But here, where this director is buying 2 million, 1.5, 1.5 over the last couple days, that gets my attention because that's a lot of money, even for somebody who's really wealthy. Here, next decade, we've got a big buys, 2 million, 2.7, 1.7, repeat buys day after day. So that gets my attention there. Another thing to look for is clusters. So when you look at this ALMS company, you've got Foresight Labs, you've got Foresight Capital Management, you've got James Tenenbaum, the director, you've got this guy who's a director, not going to try and pronounce that. So you've got four major players spending millions and millions of dollars here. So another cool thing you can do is hop into these companies and check on the insider buying. It's at the very bottom of the page. So you'll see here just this company is just being massively lit up with buys all year, all the way back to April. And you'll notice that it's all at this price from $4 to $6. So when we start building in our mind, where would I buy this at? It's somewhere between $4 and $6. So this one definitely gets my attention here. So what are the limitations? You've got a 2-day lag on this, so sometimes stocks will move quite a bit. This one's been on the move. You can see from the preview chart there, so be careful with that. You can be early. It doesn't mean this is going to explode tomorrow. And just be careful with the small caps and the biotechs. That's a crazy world. So just proceed with caution. Unless you're a biotech investor, proceed with caution there. And then the biggest thing is we don't blindly follow these trades. You need to apply the Bison Blueprint to this to confirm that it's at support and that it's got the potential to grow. So what's my exact playbook? Every morning I come in, first thing in the morning, I open FinViz, and since I do this every day, I go through the latest insider trading all the way back to the previous morning and check pretty much all of the bright green rows for that day. The most important thing then is you have to chart everything. Everything on here that catches your eye, you have to throw on a chart and get an idea of where that stock is. Is it buy support? Is it in a no-go zone? Is it, does this fit your investment profile? So if it does, if I give it a quick check, I'll throw it on a watch list, and then later in the day I'll do a deeper dive and make sure it passes all the other checks in the Bison Blueprint. And if it does, a lot of these you'll see in our alerts. A lot of these are in my portfolio. So once it passes that full check, then we're good to go. So let's talk about a couple of past monsters from the system, some huge gainers that we've seen. If you remember back during COVID, oil was crushed, the world was shutting down, travel, all that kind of stuff. Like oil was one of the biggest losers during COVID. But what we saw here, ExxonMobil and Chevron, both their CEOs are buying in $1 million, 1.5 million during these lows. So let's go Exxon. I charted this out this morning. Right here, bought in at $40, went to 126. So I had a 3x return on that one. Chevron, same thing, was buying down at $70, went to almost 190. So that's a huge return there. So what you'll notice is that these are near the lows. Insiders often, not always, are buying near the lows. Now, another one, we've got Coinbase back in 2022. That's when the price of Bitcoin was pretty low. I think it was going through that winter. You had a ton of insiders buying at 40 to 70 bucks here. That went on to go to 444 bucks. So those guys that bought at 40 did an 11x. So huge returns there, and you'll notice right near the lows. Not exactly, but right near the lows. Um, so that's a great one, a great example there of just how effective this has been in the past. So let's take a look at some examples from FinViz and do some live charting on these. So Carl Icahn, a lot of people know who that is, a famous hedge fund guy. And so he's getting into CTRI, Centurion Holdings. So let's go take a look at that. CTRI, did a little chart on this morning, and not a lot of history. Pretty new. The lows here are 15 bucks, currently at 20. The highs are 28. So for me, this is in a no-go zone. This is just kind of chilling in the middle. And if I can get this for 15 bucks, I'd be interested. So this morning I threw a reminder on here that'll send me a text when it gets there, so I can take it a little bit more seriously. Next one here, Resi. We'll notice a bunch of buys, 18, 12, 11, 10 million. So let's take a look here. Resi, they were buying in around here. Again, this is not something that I want to buy. It's getting crushed. It's down probably 30%, and it's down another 10% since they bought. So the lows are 3 bucks. So this one's just kind of in the middle for me, which is why we don't blindly follow these. So top tab for the week. If you notice here, BHVN, which is Biohaven, a bunch of recent buys. We got 25 million from a director, 5 million from a CEO, 3 million from a director. That's all I see for now, but let's go take a look at that. BHVN. So not a ton of history on this chart, but we are sitting at the all-time lows, which are $7.11. Right here, we're at 946. And when you look at these insider buys, they were buying at $7.50 right here. So they bought right at the very lows, and they're already up about 30% on these transactions. So great win for them, but this has the potential to go to 20 bucks, to 40 bucks, even up to looks like 62 is the all-time high. So plenty of upside on this. Pretty textbook trendline breakout here, breakout, retest, support, go. If you're familiar with the Bison Blueprint, it's one of the best setups that we look for. Breakout or trendline, break, retest, support, go. Volume, MACDs, or I'm sorry, RSIs, oversold. You've got some MACD divergence going on here. I'm sorry, RSI divergence, MACD divergence, MACDs. Like a lot of the signs are here. So haven't had the time to apply the full Bison Blueprint here, but this is an awesome setup for people that are looking to hold the stock for the next 6 to 18 months. The insiders believe in it. Looks good to me. So just be sure to be your due diligence on that. So let's take a look at some of the top recent ones on the list here. We've got a Nexon. I imagine this is a biotech or something. The low is 129. It's currently 4. So let's move a little bit away from my buy zone. There's a lot of risk here. If it comes back down under 2 bucks, I'd be interested in it. So I'm going to set an alert here for about 150. See if that comes back. So we'll take another look here at ALMS. Again, not a lot of history here. Looks like I had charted this back in the day, but not something I'm super comfortable with because we're away from the bottom. It's just not, there's not a ton of setup here for us. Maybe a breakout here, but just not in love with the chart. So NEXT down there on the list. This is a chart that I've been looking at lately, actually, because the insiders have just been hammering this one in recent days. So going into the history here, I mean, look at this accumulation. You've got CEO, director, 10% owner, just hammering it here in the $6 to $7 range. which is where we sit. So one of the big risks with this one, I thought about alerting this to the community, but um, not necessarily at the lows here. This is maybe a higher risk trade that I might take personally. Um, but here we go. We've got a broadening pattern here. A couple trend lines supporting. You've got a bunch of money coming in here. So this looks like something that might be decent to add to in this $5 to $6 range. So hopefully we gave you a couple setups here that you can go out and use. But again, this process, this is one of the best ways, legitimately one of the best ways to find the best setups in the market. So I hope you use it. Again, this is such a powerful tool to find the top quality setups with a potential catalyst behind them. So you want to do what the smart money is doing. Don't just listen to the talking heads on CNBC. They're promoting a bunch of stocks up, down, who knows. Uh, these are insiders that are putting their money where their mouth is. And this is the exact method that I use to find about 75% of my personal holdings that have grown my account 600% in a year. So this is good stuff. Um, I'm doing this research and I'm charting this every day. And within our community, I'm sharing these top picks every week. So if you're somebody who's a 9 to 5, you want more of like a done for you model, we'd love to have you in the Discord. We're always sharing these setups that are pre-researched, and you can just go out, hit the buy, and keep track of these and start making money. For those of you that want to learn the full method, we've got a course on its way, and we're going to be teaching you this whole system from front to back: how to find stocks, how to buy stocks, how to sell stocks, how to manage a portfolio, the whole process. So that's in the works right now. So for those of you that want to learn kind of the basics of what is our A plus checklist, what are we looking for when you buy these stocks, check down below. There's a link in our video description. With that, you can get a 7-day free trial to our community. That's limited to the first 100 people, I think. So go out and grab that before it's gone. But there's a ton of value in that community. We've got people making a ton of money. I'm making a ton of money off this system, and I'm really happy to share it with you. So we hope you see you in the community soon.